Shri Baxi ji.
Right, sir. We are waiting. We will start in 5 minutes.
Very kind of you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm just sharing the information to all others.
Right, sir.
So that all will join. Pramod sir, namaste. How are you?
Sir, you have sent the link to us and
Yes. I'm just requesting Honorable Professor Amar Pal Singh sir, Vandana madam, and Anuj
Sir has joined.
to just have a leeway of 5 more minutes. I'm just sending the link to further friends, some more friends. Okay, please.
Sir,
2 to 3 minutes.
Sir has made one legal research group. That's why. Sir is always sending in important information to us.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Sir is here, Vandana.
Sir is here. Sir?
Sir has joined. I know. I have seen sir. He has joined. Yes.
Good morning, sir. Sir, you are mute.
Honorable Upendra Baxi sir, namaste.
Sir, you are muted. Baxi sir, you are muted. It's
Unmute yourself, sir.
unmute yourself, sir.
Vandana recording.
Unmute.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Namaste, sir.
Long time. Looking good.
Honorable Upendra Baxi sir, namaste.
Namaskar. Oh, yes.
From Dr. Mohan, Principal, Christi Jayanti College of Law, Bengaluru.
Oh, yes.
I'm a big fan of you, sir. You are a great legend, like the Volksgeist for India.
Thank you. Better learn the past tense now. Get used to the
Namaskar, sir.
past tense.
Dr. Pramod Malik from BPS Humanity, sir. You have visited my department also. I have invited you in one conference, sir. Pramod Malik, sir, from Kanpur, Haryana, sir. Sonipat, sir.
Oh, I see. Yes.
You have visited my college, sir.
Yes,
year.
indeed.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. Myself, Vandana. We have talked on so many occasions. Professor
Yes.
Amar Pal Singh, Dean USLLS is here, sir. From USLLS Law School, Professor Amar Pal Singh. And
Namaste, sir.
Zubair Ahmed Khan, Shakti Well, Anuradha, so many of from Law School, USLLS, sir.
Oh, I see. Very good. Now, why it is
We all are your old student from Faculty of Law. We did
Oh, yeah.
LLM, PhD from Faculty of Law, sir.
Oh, very good. Good
And-
center.
Sir, I did my PhD with Professor Bansal, so I met you on so many.
Yesterday, yes.
Yes, sir.
It was very sad to hear no more.
Right.
But COVID has caused so many, all of us know, so much, I would only say, in ethical loneliness, right? In one phrase. You feel relieved when your colleagues pass away and other people's friends. And they have now invented a very naturally, quite to condone the death. So they have now invented this webinars for condolences,
Yes.
which I refuse to go to, even to best of my friends. So I end up writing a lot of obituary, which I read out. My work has increased, and I request people not to die
Oh,
for a while.
so great.
Because it's wrong to jail to death so early, but you can't help it. It is, but if the second wave was very bad,
Right, sir.
I hope there'll be no third wave.
We all wish for the same, sir.
Right.
Sir, I think we can start. It's 11 o'clock. We can formally start the event now.
Whenever you want to.
Yes, sir.
I think we can start.
Yes, sir. We can start formally the event, sir. Correct, Anuj? Chalo.
A very good morning to all present here today. I, Mehak Rai Sethi, with great joy and immense exultation, take this privilege to warmly welcome our esteemed guest, faculty members, and fellow students to the webinar on cyber utopianism, digital militarism, and cyber gangs, A New Terrain for Social and Legal Studies, organized by the University School of Law and Legal Studies, GGSIPU. This webinar would not have been possible without the guidance and support of Professor Dr. Amarpal Singh, Dean, USLLS, and our faculty coordinators, Dr. Vandana Singh and Dr. Zubair Ahmad Khan, assistant professors at USLLS. I would also like to extend my sincerest gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Mahesh Verma sir, and Ravi Dadit sir, the Registrar of our university. USLLS envisages advancement of institutional expertise in the area of legal research and education by augmenting academic and professional excellence. It has always been extremely driven to promote holistic education and academic growth and has pushed its limits to capture all areas of education and research every now and then. Today, we have with us Padma Shri awardee, Honorable Professor Dr. Upendra Baxi sir, with us as the chief guest and keynote speaker for the webinar on cyber utopianism, digital militarism, and cyber gangs, a new terrain for social and legal studies. Now, before proceeding further, I would like to make a humble request to all the attendees to kindly switch off their videos and keep themselves muted in order to avoid any sort of disturbance or unwanted disruption throughout the lecture. Before formally introducing Dr. Baxi to all the attendees, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Amarpal Singh, our respected Dean, to deliver the welcome address for our esteemed guest, Professor Dr. Baxi. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mehak. Thank you so much. Most respected Professor Baxi sir, my senior faculty colleagues, learned faculty colleagues who had joined from across the country, and student friends. It's a moment of great excitement and exhilaration, I would say, that Professor Baxi decided to give us a bit of time. In fact, Professor Baxi, incredible Baxi as we call him, a giant of India's legal scholarship. It's not possible to say enough about him. I mean, he doesn't require any introduction for that purpose. But for the benefit of our young student friends, I would still say a few words about him. Professor Baxi sir started his law teaching career back in 1969 from Sydney Law School. And thereafter, he served as Professor of Law in Delhi University, Vice Chancellor of Delhi University and South Gujarat University, Honorary Director of Indian Law Institute, President of Indian Society of International Law, and Professor Emeritus of several universities. You just cannot really even count them, including the Warwick University, wherein he spent a lot of time, and right now with OP Jindal Global University. Once again, just a small mentions because it is not possible to introduce him enough. Professor Baxi has over 250 articles published in journals of national and international repute, over 24 wonderful books. He has contributed to Oxford Encyclopedia of Human Rights, Oxford Handbook of Legal Studies, International Library of Essays in Law and Legal Theory, Oxford Handbook of History of International Law, and several others. I mean, just a few things that we wanted to let our young friends know about him. Once again, on behalf of University School of Law and Legal Studies, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, and on behalf of all our faculty colleagues, I extend my sincere gratitude and thanks to Professor Baxi that he spared a bit of time for us. Sir, you are welcome, and sir, thank you so much for joining us, sir. Over to Mehak.
Thank you so much, sir. As Professor Amarpal sir has already mentioned, no amount of introduction, no details can actually do justice to the enormous contributions which have been made by Dr. Baxi to the field. For his enormous contribution to legal and political affairs, he was even awarded the 4th highest civilian award, the Padma Shri, by the Government of India in 2011. His writings have been cited by Indian High Courts and the Indian Supreme Court as well as by the appellate justices in South Asia. In fact, in one instance, the International Court of Justice cited his work as persuasive authority concerning state succession to treaties. Today, we have the opportunity to be graced with his presence and to listen to his words of wisdom on this topic of cyber utopianism, digital militarism, and cyber gangs, a new terrain for social and legal studies. We are delighted to have you with us today, sir. Over to you now.
So am I. Thank you very much. Thank you for saying and yourself for saying such kind words about me and my past. Misdeeds in the past are several. Obviously, you mentioned the good deeds. There have been misdeeds also, according to some of my critics. One of the accusations against me is that I write too much. So it is true. I spend my time writing and reading. And that's what every good student of law should do. It's not peculiar to me, but I write a bit much. And therefore, it is not possible for me to tell you the number of articles I've written since 2013. The number has grown. In fact, a 4-volume selected works coming out from Oxford University Press. They date at 2010. And another volume of essays and contributions is being brought out by my friend Manish at Universal Book Company, which covers last year. So in fact, who do I write for? I don't know. Whether anybody will read all this stuff, I don't know. But I enjoy doing so, and that's case one. So thank you indeed for a kind introduction. I would leave the subject by saying one more thing, that I wish you better and happier life than one that I've spent in social causes and dealing with catastrophes of multinationals like Bhopal, in trying to flog the dead horse for legal education, which your eminently is serving so well, of course. So I've been mismanaged and misspent most of my life in academic pursuits. You have better things to do. And the world has changed. I've seen it change over the period of time, a number of years. And I've seen enough of the world and heard enough about it. And I roughly know the shape of things to come with the Anthropocene, an area which we are totally neglecting in our legal studies and research. And we should not, because it is already here. We're in the 6th great decade of mass extinction. 50% of life has disappeared. Species life has already disappeared from the planet. And COVID was absolutely arbitrary. COVID-19 did not know basic structure, did not know Article 14, did not know any of fundamental rights, and is stuck sinisterly in a sinister mode and arbitrary mode. But COVID, compared with the anthropogenic harm that we already suffer, like unreasonable weather, storms, tsunamis. You might have seen last week the Arctic glaciers melting and sea levels actually rising. So it's happening right now at the 7th decade. It's already a lot of time has passed. Even if you date it from 1950, some people date the era of Anthropocene much earlier. With the rise of first industrial revolution. What can law do and what concepts of justice we should have in the era of mass extinction? I have done courses at NALSA, at NLUD, and various other sites. Now I'm doing one. I've done one, just finished one seminar at Jindal. so that future lawyers will know the problems of extinction of planet Earth and to what extent law as we know it and justice as we conceive it can help us in this task to mitigate the future. And I hope the great university that you are, you will take some interest in this business of beyond environmental degradation into the man-made destruction that is facing us. Even the ancient Indian thinkers had no idea of this kind of pralay. Pralay, it's called Kalki, yuga of pralay, that we are now facing. And therefore, it's labor for the next generation and generation after that. It's exercise in intergenerational justice that we perform from the vantage point of future. And I hope your law school and your university, esteemed university, will do well. I now come to the subject. Before I do that, I welcome all of you here this afternoon for this discussion. And Professor Amapal Singh is a good friend, long-standing, and a great scholar himself. Professor Mahesh Verma, with the Vice Chancellor, the Registrar, Dr. Vandana Singh and Dr. Zubir Ahmed Khan, distinguished faculty, and those who are listening into it from all over India, and others, Tisha and Devyani, dear students and esteemed guests. It's very good to be here, and my being here owes to the determined hot pursuit by Vandana Singh. In fact, she contacted me a year ago, and I am very sorry to appear so late, but she persisted. And but for persistence, I would not have been here today under your benign presence and participation, under your benign auspice. It's all due to Vandana's self-determination and effort. And I thank her for all the kindnesses in waiting for my schedule to clear a bit, and very happy to be here today with you all. I look forward to questions and comments very shortly after I've made some noises about the theme that I've announced. Certainly it constitutes a new field of study, but I came to it from not from the side of IPR, not from the side of technology, not from the side of globalization, not from the aspect of digital capitalism, but I came through human rights. And how does the new development, which is called information and communication technology, ICT for short, have changed the circumstances of globalism within us and around us, and how they affect human rights. That has been my main entry point into this area. Now it has assumed an autonomous dimension as well as the years go by. So that's the first disclosure I would make, that I came more or less as a cyber utopian to this area. Thinking, and I'll explain the term later, thinking that this particular technology had potential for emancipation from repression, the potential for social justice, and potential for democracy. That's what led me to this research. Now I'm at a different place. I'm talking about cyber gangs and other things. Cyber security, but I'm not going into cyber security at all. I'm not going to cyber warfare, although I'm describing digital militarism as a state of mind and as a state of state policy, and we come to that. There are two distinctive Indian situations into which also I won't go unless you're very much interested and drag me into these areas when discussion open. And these are the areas of current litigation, the High Court, the Supreme Court, by Facebook or Twitter and other platforms on the amendments to Information Act and the rules made under. They've been challenged. The matter is sub judice. The second area seems more menacing, and the presence of so many drones at Jammu airfield. And it is still a situation which is developing. We don't know exactly how many drones were unwelcome visitors, damages, if any, resulting from this. And we do not know how much, who sent them in the first place. We know that now information about flying of drones is to be centralized, and the government should be informed when the drones are used for military purposes. Drones are used everywhere, as you know, no doubt. Even Amazon uses drones. When you order restaurants to deliver by their contemplation, that they will deliver by drone. But non-civilian uses of drones are certainly likely to be regulated. It's a developing situation, and I will not venture anybody directly to address either situation in the course of this discussion. So I would look at, I would confess my initial biases, that human rights situation that led me to digital emancipation and what it can contribute. I'm not, again to repeat, I'm not expert in any of this area, but I know the starting points, and that's what I want to share with you. I also must say I'm not an expert on all aspects of dark side of digital technology. And I must also disclose, finally, that I do not have access to any social media about which I'm going to talk, Twitter or Facebook. The last thing I did was after my medical condition. I had a terrible stroke in 2013. This is my second life. And I yielded to a cell phone. So I have some experience of WhatsApp or things like that, but I'm not on the proper social media. I know you're all, but it is my last protest against hyper-globalization of the world. So it's the last frontier. Individually, I don't belong to this platform. I'm not a victim or beneficiary of the platform power. Or if I am, I do not know about that. So I think I've used the word social and legal studies. How understanding this new development ICT in information and communication technology will shed new light on law and legality itself, and the way we do judicial process in India and outside. I've used that as a combined, two different words I've used, social and legal tradition, how they're being already renovated. And I've resisted the hyper and called it socio-legal study. I don't believe, as far as possible, I avoid hyphenated words. I don't believe the hyphen joins thinking. I believe that what the result is of a hyphen, the result is hyphenated thought. And hyphenated thought is sheer confusion. We don't know when we're talking about socio-economic changes, what does it mean by social and economic? There are two different areas of transformation. Some say political, social, economic transformation. We live in a world of hyper, especially lawyers. I'm guilty of having used hyper now and then, out of yielding to convention, because that's the majority. I'm a micro minority in this respect. But I suggest we avoid the use of word hyphen and interrogate ourselves. So don't hyphenate thought. That's my request to you all. Now let me come to top three areas. I'll give very light and soft touch to this area. Although I gathered a lot of information, I will not go into it all today, nor is it possible for me to do, even if it's desirable to do. It's not possible to do in the short time I have. So very shortly, let us first understand the concept of cyber utopianism. CU, you call it, a U, utopia. And this is a new thing. There have been talks about utopianism since Plato, very old time, before Christ. And talk of European old religion, ancient Judaic utopia, utopia in Christianity, utopia in Islam, utopia in Buddhism, utopia in Hinduism. So the idea of utopia is the idea of utopic imagination of the future. Utopia does not seek to rewrite the past, which is nostalgia, invention of the past. Utopia does not reinvent the past. Utopia looks at the future of a particular area, or future of social order as a whole. And there are three kinds of things we have to think about. One is utopia has a touch of ideality in it itself. It is always the ideal place, some place other than the existing society or politics or religion. Is something to come in the future. The futuristic idea. But people also talk about real utopia. And the discussion on real utopia has begun with Chicago School of Economics after the downfall of the then Soviet Union. So they are readjusting, they're called post-Marxism, socialism, in an era of there being no superpower, which is socialism. Of course, China is there, Korea is there, but they're not superpowers, so they're superpowers. They're not in the same way globally as Soviet Union was. There's a matter of some discussion. I will not go into it. So they talk about things like coupon socialism and so on. Socialism with the marketplace. Socialism with the human place. The real utopia. I'm influenced very greatly by three thinkers. One is McLuhan, Marshall McLuhan, the Canadian philosopher and sociologist, social theorist, who wrote a fine book in the end of 60s, beginning of 60s, called Gutenberg Galaxy. And he is sought to establish correlation between printing and linear rationality. It's a very good book called Medium is the Message. It is still studied in media studies and management studies, but not so much in social science studies. It's a pity, and not at all in law. It's even a greater pity. It's still worth looking at. I always think dialectically in pairs. Therefore, I ask what the other of Europe, what the antonym of the word. And my advice to my colleagues and students has been never to think in singular. Think in plural. Ask always the question, what the other of the word you are using. And the other is often not easy to find, but you have to find out. That's called thinking, in my opinion. Plural always resides in the singular, but you must avoid the tyranny of the singular. And therefore, there are three opposites of utopia. And one is called Dystopia. Dystopia is the exact opposite of, let's think of heaven and hell. Hell also is the imagination of the future. But the concept of hell is opposed to the concept of good life and good society and good reward of good merit, punya, and papa in Hindu theory, ethical theory. So dystopia is Cold War. Dystopia to some extent is globalization, the dark side of the net, and so on. The other is what Michel Foucault, the great philosopher, French philosopher, Michel Foucault talked of not utopia, but he pluralized it by saying heterotopia. Heterotopia is a concept which is of great use as embodied in our constitution. There are different utopias that different communities have. He pluralized the notion of utopia. The Islamic utopia, the Christian utopia, and you have a very nice election case. In law, if you're studying cases, which is the Hindutva is a way of life, Prabhu case, Logos case in Goa. And it is not a Hindutva case, but known as Hindutva case, and used as such. But what Chief Justice Verma said was that there are various, in election time, you cannot restrict free speech. General time also you cannot do it. Election time you cannot restrict speech unless it's corrupt practice. You must allow everybody to project idea. Let the best idea, it's really a homestead place, a marketplace of idea. So the common criticism of politics that you promise that in manifesto, which you never want to actually pursue after you win power. The common criticism, false consciousness being packaged and sold in election time is wrong. The exercise of free speech. And Justice Obama went to town, as effect. He talked about Christianity is a way of life. He talked of Islam is a way of life. He talked of Marxism as a way of life. And say everybody is free. Marxists are free to say that they believe in absence of capitalism and beginning of communal life, communism. We promote communism. Somebody said promote Ram Rajya. Somebody will say Buddhism, Sunnita. Hey, everybody is free. Of Ambedkar, right, to say, Dalits to say, and the caste system. This is allowed, must be allowed in election. So election freedom decision, I call it. I don't call it a Hindutva decision. I'm in a minority of one in India, but I got hold of the truth. Okay? So we're not going to the case, but do study that case. Heterotopia, even before Foucault used it, Supreme Court did not use the word, but describing society that there are many versions of utopia. It's not one desired society. And the Constitution of India also pursues heterotopia. In a little paragraph in the Constitution, chapter 4A, part 4A, which deals with fundamental duties of citizens. And we are all bound by it. There are very few cases, only 2 cases. They have gone to Supreme Court. So we don't teach it. We don't know about it. These are our duties. So obviously, you must learn about this. There are also part 4. The heterotopia. The state shall do, the state shall do, the state shall revert, the state shall take steps. Idea of a just society. Our society is not only based on rights and freedom. It's also based on satisfying the needs of groups of people. Right? Article 15, Article 16 for women, Article 15 for caste, and so on. You see that. So heterotopia is a very useful concept. Don't let me get excited by it at this moment. And it is certainly not my theme today to go into what Foucault meant by heterotopia. How did it come about? But we use that word with the other of utopia. dystopia, heterotopia, and you can use utopia. There are three ideas, and all these ideas are talking about injustice, oppression, and a future social and political order. What happens now today? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, and various sites, both in the internet that we don't know about, deep internet, and internet surface internet that we really use. Right? The dark side is present in both this particular area. So our information, our new utopia is secreted, as it were. In digital utopianism, promoted by techno-utopianism, some words that digital utopianism, techno-utopianism, digital escapism. One more idea of creating utopia is escapism, not futurism. So techno-escapism, info-utopianism, infotainment, information and entertainment, both infotainment utopianism, cyber utopianism, the term I use, my own term, which I invented before I was even computer literate. I called it new society that was coming in the 70s. I wrote an article on the future of human life, something about it. And I called it techno-narcissism. And you fall in love with technology for its own sake. And love technique, technological society. So this is, how do we describe it? Is one problem. How do we explain it? Is another problem. What do we predict? The third problem. And fourth is, how do we evaluate? There are four aspects to any social science analysis: description, analysis, explanation, and instead of prediction, which we believe to sciences, we introduce the category of evaluation, good or bad. That's the question. Evaluation. Scientists don't worry about evaluation. They worry about prediction. That's where they differ from social science. The social scientists studying digital cyber utopianism will say, we will not judge it. Whether it's good or bad, that's not our function. But we'll predict what will happen in the future. And on that basis, we'll develop the ideas of cyber utopia. So the defense taken by Twitter, a Delhi High Court, is very interesting. Can you do pursue the affidavit? That Twitter is promoting global freedom of speech against authoritarian or semi-authoritarian restrictions on freedom of speech. Now what's happening? The functions that we assign normally to state to promote a just social order is taken over by a private company, multinational, sitting somewhere in America or China or European Union or any part of the world. Huh? So in a sense, prediction of the future, the idea of justice connected to freedom of speech is privatized. Privatized. Multinational corporations are accountable to nobody. Please, I've done 35, 36, 38 years. I've spent, I'm still struggling for Bhopal victims. We're still in the court for a curative petition. So this particular cyber terrorism was a very important thing for me. It has its bright spots, bright sides and dark spots. The bright side are that people can express themselves freely over the media. But that freedom, when it begins to hurt those in power, or hurt the whole country, like geopolitical propaganda, I'll come to that, or like inciting racism, inciting misogyny, fostering patriarchy. And you would have seen pornography, art for pornography on the net. When you do foster this kind of thing, then there is some need for regulation. And as lawyers, we should worry about what kind of regulation is consistent with the idea of free speech. Is free speech, does it mean anything goes? Or it means responsible free speech? And who is to determine what is responsible free speech? That's a big issue. This issue arises before computerization of the globe and much sharply now, as you can see from the cases and the IT Act that you see. Enough. Now, taking too long a time on cyber terrorism. But I do not want you to go with the feeling that I'm saying that there's only reality in the dark side. No. There is utopian side. The notion of hope for the future, the notion of global connectivity. I said I came from to all this from human rights side. So I know that there is important attached to certain platform for promoting a global vision of justice. But there is a dark side also, when the same platforms are used to terrorize women, to terrorize children, to terrorize a particular ethnic group, then there are problems. And these problems are effectively regulated by laws and directions. What's the good design of law is a real question. Now, I come to digital matters very shortly, and that will be studied primarily in relation to Israel, but also generally. What is digital materialism? Is the state of mind. It's not necessarily what is the state of mind. First is the interplay between social media and militaristic politics. How does politics build up certain images that is use social media for foster militarism in society? And the epic case that has been studied again and again is that of Israel. Without taking any side of Israel conflict, it is the fact that digital militarism, the word arose, the phrase arose with study of Israel. Militarization of social media is another. Or militarized culture of social media is another. Insinuation of media into military operations is another idea of digital militarism. Digital battlefields, the virtual space, is another idea of digital militarism. Occupation, militant occupation. For example, the way Israel has used, Israeli government has used social media to legitimate occupation of Arab territories after 1967 war. Has to be seen to be believed. And Israel has been one of the few countries give priority to this new technology. is next only to Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley now. But it started this innovation. So politics and cyber media, when they unite for warlike purposes, you begin to speak about occupation purposes, you begin to speak about digital militarism. It's been hailed as innovation notion. The use of net has been called brand Israel, and so on. Or it has been called techno-militarism, techno-militarism. They're different words. And there's a very nice book written by two people, Ali Kuntzman and Rebecca Stein, precisely called Digital Militarism, Israel Occupation in the Media Age, 2015, Stanford. So have a look at that and you look at everything. We carry the idea with us. We carry the idea of techno war, using social media for military purposes in mind. And a whole new world of legal regulation opens up. International legal regulation, national legal regulation. Now, in a sense, I'll continue this discussion of digital militarism by looking at a new concept, the third concept of this talk, and I'll shortly finish, is cyber gangs. Now, what are cyber gangs? This expression came from European studies before cyber gangs. There's a great emphasis, if you know a little bit of criminology, you know that. I thought criminology was just very good. But I used to teach criminology ascribed in the times of the powerless on street, okay, on street warfare, or people are homeless. But gangs were studied in Europe and America as using streets as platforms for war. Okay, so that related for committing crime, commission crime. So the European project on gang warfare, for example, they find this phenomena as street-oriented youth groups. Street is very important. Youth groups which use the street for illegal activities. So criminologists have an idea of gangs, which they use in a number of settings for strategies of crime control, prevention of crime, and so on. From criminology, we use the cyber area, and what is now called internet banking, hacking, street behavior. I mentioned hacking, for example. Hacking is a kind of cyber gang exercise. So a lot of you use Facebook. There is something on the non-electronic media yesterday or day before on how trolling is being used to spread the idea that women are inferior to men. And here was the case of a Muslim woman who was harassed and filed a petition, complaint against in Delhi before Delhi police, who was actually bought and sold on the internet by the gang for a price. Was sold and bought and sold. The cyber gang is that it is a small petty crime, but very sinister ideology. I think actually happened with us. But you're all familiar with the way of trolling, name calling on media, social media. But they're organized gangs operating on cyberspace. They're called cyber gangs. And they don't fight in the streets. They cause offline violence, which begins as online violence. The distinction between offline violence and online violence is a very difficult one to draw. But obviously, in Bangalore, what happened a couple of years ago, when the Karnataka government did not know what to do, because the rumor was spread that by weekend there's going to be a tremendous bloodshed of the migrant workers. So all against Northeast migrant workers. They all flocked to the railway station, and the government had to hire special trains to take them to Assam, Manipur, Tripura. What? Nothing actually happened. The rumor was so strong. So gangs, which specialize in spreading rumors, in trolling people, these are very serious methods for criminologists, but not only for criminologists. That you can spread religious violence, you can spread communal violence, you can spread ethnic violence, and you can use the platforms for hate speech. And this becomes important when not an individual act, but it's a gangsterism, mob act. You can identify those people. And of course, there have been prosecutions in a variety of jurisdictions, not just Indian jurisdictions, overseas as well. But the difficulty on the way of proving guilt and the difficulties in filing a FIR, process investigation. It's an evolving field. Trolling is an evolving field. More sinister is I've been misunderstood, but I have no time, is the use of, demonstrated, the use of cyberspace for influencing elections in other countries. And this is primarily, current example is that the way in which Soviet Union used the cyberspace to influence American elections in 2016 against Democratic candidate Clinton. Otherwise, we can pull Clinton against Trump. And this is highly theorized by a political scientist, a strategic scientist in Soviet Union called Sukov. Sukov's theory is that all democracies are managed. There is no democratic order which is not managed. Ill-managed or well-managed depends on your judgment, but they're managed. Management of people, of resources, of territory. Management is a bad word. You need management. But certain acts of management are considered good or bad by different kind of people. There are different judgments. And therefore, they seized on certain material on the net and organized about 200 or 300 Facebook events targeting the presidential nominee and creating public opinion against her. And now the Senate Inquiry Committee, House of Intelligence Committee, has reported, it's all there. So I don't want to go into what happened in America, but it happened. What is worse is a phenomenon called Pizzagate. Have you heard of it? The Pizzagate happened during the same time. Pizzagate is a very interesting phenomenon, and it's a phenomenon of the future. It was the pizza shop outlet in Washington, D.C., which was called Comet Ping Pong. Comet Ping Pong. And by hacking such a combination of hacking, such an email of Clinton aide, manager aide, election manager, Podesta, they accused Mrs. Clinton, the president of the Democratic nominee, of being involved in a pedophile ring. Pizza is American slang for a young person and a play. So they used Pizzagate as a satanic cult, which included top figures such as Hillary Clinton and John Podesta. It was alleged that this was not an ordinary pizza shop. This is where transactions for modern slavery, of selling and buying women and young boys, were hatched. Now, a large number of Americans, particularly Republican persuasion, believed in that. Whether right or wrong, we don't know. Similarly, if you see the behavior of Republican Party and party leaders in Congress and in the cadres, President Trump, while he was the president, openly said that these elections, American elections, were stolen. He issued regular tweets that the American elections are stolen, before Joe Biden was declared winner. And a recent report suggests that nearly half of the American population believes that the election was stolen. Nothing to do with facts. Facts are that Supreme Court has rejected all petitions then and now against the election. They have upheld the certification of elections as regular and fair after examining the evidence. Best evidence that could be laid. Independent investigators have also said that. Similar. Congress is reaching similar conclusions. Congress is slightly divided between Republicans and Democrats. But Democrats are in a majority. I'm not just going to go into the facts of the matter. I'm on the point of cyber propaganda. And a successful cyber propaganda, partly inspired by foreign power, partly localized. And in a democracy, freedom of speech can not be restricted. There will be reasonable restriction. And what is reasonable is a matter of judgment. So there is it no longer the world of the 2000s. This world is a world of cyber propaganda warfare as an aspect of geopolitics, of directly influencing and planting credible evidence of wrongdoing, which in fact is not true, but you believe. A similar allegation by Congress in India by Cambridge Analytica. All the data being stolen and used for election manipulation. Whether it did or not is still not clear. But the allegation, the substantial allegation. So concluding, again, I must leave this as a very interesting area, both Pizzagate discussion and the way the And elections are the heart of a democracy. And if a geopolitical presence is detected, and this is defended in the name of free speech, we have a problem. How to deal with it? How to deal with it? Free speech is a real problem. Restriction on free speech strike at the very heart of democracy. Gag orders, for example, very bad. On the other hand, how do we achieve responsible speech? Now to conclude, these matters are urgent, and to conclude, I refer to an article in Indian Express just last month on digital, I forget now the title exactly, on this very subject. A woman called Madam Eileen Khan, who is the president of Amnesty International, is now a special reporter for freedom of speech information in relation to techno terror or techno warfare, global warfare, which I just mentioned. And she said law must make a distinction between disinformation and misinformation, and must regulate disinformation. Disinformation is what? When you intentionally, knowing full well the consequences that would result, spread certain information. If you know to be untrue, when no intention, mens rea is intention. Intentionally publishing information which is hurtful to the other or harmful to the other. And misinformation, as against disinformation, is where there is no such intention. When the sender of a message has no, you cannot prove any intention against the sender of the message. It just mechanically forwards stuff. We all do, forward something. Maybe it's something we think we should share with friends. But we have no intention to cause terror, partition, or unlawful activity when it's taught. We just pass it on. We don't think twice about it. Just click of a mouse. So misinformation must be other ways. But disinformation is an organized business. In fact, Oxford University, I refer to it in my article, studied the matter under the rubric industrial disinformation. Now, industrial disinformation is every corporation, a CEO knows how to deal with systematic disinformation by other rivals against their product. So I think the Oxford study is wrong in calling it industrialized disinformation, or it leads you to other pastures. What Oxford study focuses on is information that governments spread, directly governments are across the border or at long distance about other governments. And COVID is a good example, terrible example, in fact, very example of this, where misinformation is spread about COVID management in many countries. And this information of COVID vaccine. Vaccine abstention. And you don't take vaccine. Iran, Soviet Union, many other countries have spread wrong information about other foreign governments mismanaging the handling the crisis. Now, I don't want to go into the details of it, but this Oxford study of industrialized disinformation finds as many 81 governments, I could report, use social media. And these are the exact words of the report. It's discussed in the Human Rights Council in July, and I'm not going to find a report. 81 governments use social media to spread occupational propaganda and disinformation about politics. 81 out of 190. So nearly half. And these are those we can afford to use that. So you know which governments are using this. Against what government? Strong governments are using this information against weak governments. In global north, is using it against global south, obviously. So this is the inequality in international relations. So you can use how to regulate is a very major problem. What to regulate without causing a chilling effect on freedom of speech. It has to be resolved. But in which way a reasonable pluralism is the concept of John Rawls, who wrote The Theory of Justice. John Rawls floated the conception in his second book, Political Liberalism. He said democracies have to be practical and they can only be just if there is overlapping consensus, and reasonable pluralism. When we accept that people of other religion or race are equal to us, have different ideas about social order. So up to a certain point, we not use coercion, we try to persuade them. Over a period of time, persuasion will deal some results and has results. We'll use force when we must. But normally coercion is to be avoided. And that's the idea of roughly the idea of reasonable pluralism, which has been deeply contested. I've written, many people have written one by the other. I won't go into it. But every concept can be contested. But it's a good, viable media, which lawyers to law reformers to study when arriving at a reasonable perception. That how do we construct some kind of reasonable pluralism? Our constitution is an exercise. It was up in 1950, precisely in accommodating various groups. So the directive principles, fundamental rights, fundamental duties came, federalism came, and how this tradition continues. Whether you like the Constitution or don't like the Constitution, the idea is that you must try to establish some negotiated consensus among different groups with different convictions. The idea about what a just social, ideal just social order is possible, but it should be there as a benchmark. Some ideally we operate, and we should do it by dialogue, by negotiation, by persuasion, rather than by force, regulation. Law must be used as the last resort. So, how do we apply this idea to these three areas? It's a very important question. I stop here. I'm sorry it has not been as comprehensive as you would have liked, I would have liked, but I've given a flavor of these three different dimensions, three different areas. And now the floor is yours. I'm sorry if I've taken a bit longer than I planned to. I'm sorry for that.
So, thank you so much for such an informative session, sir. Hopefully, all the attendees have become much more aware about the important aspects and issues related to the topic which we discussed today. And now, Professor Baxi, I would like to take up a few questions from the audience, if you are open for a Q&A session.
Certainly.
So, the first question which we have is, free flow of information through the medium of social media also includes misinformation and disinformation. Can the state interference in stopping such misinformation and disinformation be said to be in violation of freedom of speech and expression?
Yeah. So we bunch a couple of questions and then answer. What do you want to go by question by question?
You can answer side by side.
Side by side. Well, it is very important area. What is fake information and what is not is often, very often, particularly after the rise of postmodernism. My favorite French thinker is a man called Lyotard. We in India call him His full name Lyotard. D is silent. Lyotard in France. He wrote a book called Postmodern Manifesto, the starting point of postmodernism. And I've quoted my Treaty of Human Rights, I quoted him. His slogan was, let us destroy all the narrative monopolies. There is no such thing as justice with J capital. They are justices. There is no such thing as truth with T capital, but they are truths. Different people have different ways of looking at truth. So he said, feminists, First Nations, disabled peoples, they would genuinely believe in it. Then our voice is never heard in the process. So feminists found great support to Lyotard. This because meta-narrative is always hegemonic, domineering, discrimination. So let us stop racist, ethnic, misogynist, patriarchal narrative. I genuinely believe myself, if this is the case, then how can you have fake news? It's a big problem. What big problem is to define what is fake. When President Donald Trump said, in fact, he said, in a participant reality show on Fox television, all that, he said that President he tweeted. He always used to tweet. Now he filed a suit yesterday against Twitter, asking that they should not spread fake news against him. And he reinstated him for Facebook for 2 years and Twitter forever for spreading hate speech. Now, what is fake news and what is not? The big question. And Foucault, in one of the earlier essays, said, what's a rumor? And he said, what is rumor today is news tomorrow. What's the distinction between rumor and news? Rumor, for example, 1857, War of Independence, the rumor was spread to a chapati, which said that there was meat of the pig in the bullet which soldiers used. So a certain community did not join the rebellion. Said, we don't want to use this bullet. We don't obey it. And other rumor was that the cow meat was used to cover the bullet. And a certain section of soldiers said, we are not going to use it. And one of the factors in this mass resistance to British company, Raj, was this. Now, it was fake news. But it began the liberation from colonial India. So not what is news and what is not news is a very gray area. If you believe in this theory of destruction of meta-narrative, sometimes, only thing I can say in response to your question, a very important comment, is that you can not define it, but you can see something as fake when it's presented to you. That's possible. Like obscenity. You can't define obscenity, but you know what is obscene, what is not. Let's say when you are confronted with certain obscene performance or depiction or painting. But regulation of fake news, if you go by the definition or the concept of disinformation, when you know it not to be true and yet propagate it. So this notion of disinformation is very precise. That prosecution has to prove an intention a knowledge, a state of mind that you knew that is wrong and yet you propagate it. That's fake news. I think we can use that. But beyond that, it's a matter of opinion, whether it's fake news or not. But it's a very important question. And thank you for raising the matter.
Thank you, sir.
Just a second, Mehak. There are so many questions, sir. I think we can take 2 or 3 questions. So as you can see, chat
I can
box,
bunch them. Yeah.
we are flooded with sir, how many questions we can take?
You know how many you have or comment, but you can bunch them by, I'll bunch them by themes. They'll take 3 or 4 at one time and then see how it goes. Or 2 or 3.
Okay.
I can't, the difficult is I can't read. I can't read what I write. So that's the difference. But for sometimes I'll answer a wrong question, but doesn't matter. I'll try to write clearly. Tell me.
Thank you, sir. The next question we have is, as you just discussed about the idea of plural, that we must avoid the tyranny of singular. I want you to give your insight about the vitality of plural in the contemporary global epoch in the backdrop of debate about uniform civil code, especially the recent judgment of Delhi High Court. Over to you, sir.
What is the recent judgment of Delhi? Rekha Pillai. Is that it? Yes, I like you, I read it only in the press. And she says that this is a matter of discrimination, and the state Supreme Court has decided, I'm not read the order, but she cites the Supreme Court judgment that from a long time ago, the court has always said that if there's a provision in the Constitution, you must, if the provision saying you must take steps, then you must take steps. But if it takes 60 years, 70 years, but they must come and stop. So I think what the Delhi High Court has said is that if consent of the community concerned is a principle, consent of which community? Within the community, of men or women or children. You take the consent of the keepers of the tradition or consent of those who rebel against the tradition. Right? So nobody is opposed to the idea that you must consult the community. Community is a false totality. There is no such thing as community. They are a human being belonging to a particular religion. They don't. They form a congregation, but they don't form a community. That is a common interest. Women have different identity than men, different sex, gender than men. Children have a different worldview than adults. Elderly people have different worldview than infants. So within a community, there are divisions, and you should consult every division in a community. And they make a decision whether it is just or unjust. For society as a whole, for India as a whole, and then come to a decision. So there has been what is called piecemeal uniform civil code. Justice Gajendra Law Commission, for example, suggested that we should take from Islam the option of poverty. And Special Marriage Act does take it. That a woman can't consent, but consent when you attain your age of poverty. It was indirectly against child marriage. So you must, what's the uniform, what's the civil, and what's the code? The 3 questions. I've done it on one of my essays on uniform civil code. I've said you must think about it. For example, we don't know anything about anything. I tell anybody to speak about customary law of the Khasis and Goro, customary law of the bill. We don't know anything. It's not only a question of Hindus and Muslims. Uniform civil code is a question of tribalism. And there are so many tribal sections of society. And we can't even know, we don't even know about them. So majoritization is a wrong approach. The Constitution does not sanction that. The Constitution sanctions reasonable pluralism. And therefore it's for the government, and the courts can only exercise a function of saying, please hurry, it's too long now. You must take care of certain injustice. Courts don't normally make a law. Sometimes they do make a law, like a sexual harassment, Vishaka. But no, it can't do Vishaka every day. Normally decide dispute. So they perform what economists have called, economic theory called nudging. Nudging function. The Delhi High Court has performed a nudging function, asking the state to remember, prioritize certain injustices. But uniform civil code is a matter of piecemeal reform, not one go. You understand what they reform? Piecemeal social engineering. Ultimate result is uniform civil code. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Mehak, one last question, okay?
Yes, ma'am. So the next question is whether the cyber gangs are influenced by geopolitics to form a separate cyber propaganda for the existence of their criminal strategy. Over to you, sir.
Well, I don't know enough. Some cyber gangs are clearly geared, and some are in diffuse state. It depends on which gang, where you're talking about. And whether I use carefully this notion of cyber gang in terms of state support. State-supported cyber gang. That's what makes them geopolitical. So far, the state-supported cyber gang have tried to spread disinformation as a state. But it's very recent for state-supported cyber gangs to do electionary, and try to change or form voters' attitude. And I gave example, Myrin Khan's report, 81 state governments doing that. Half the state. So I'm extremely worried about it. I don't know about other aspects, but if this is true, then states have to abstain from certain kinds of geopolitics. Responsibility and duties of states, international law has to be, and strengthen in that respect. With the consent of state, international ideal example of reasonable pluralism. There are so many different states of different persuasions. They can file law for reservation. But we have made progress over the years in the Convention Against Torture, the Declaration of Human Rights, the Declaration of Civil Rights, Political Rights, which were considered impossible 20 years ago. We have to move, we have to keep on working on this idea.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for answering the queries of the participants. Unfortunately, due to paucity of time, we won't be able to take any further questions. I request all the attendees to fill the Google form for the attendance as well as feedback, the link for which has been shared in the chat box. Filling up of the Google form is essential for receiving the certificate of participation in the event. Now, I would like to request Dr. M. Afzal Wani, Senior Professor at USLLS, to extend our gratitude towards our respected guest and deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
It's a wonderful opportunity. I believe I am audible to you. And my journey of 42 years and 3 months to be under the academic shadow of a great man, jurist.
Oh, very kind.
In the world, I have seen I think, needs to be understood. He needs to be attended to. And what he said is basically something most important, that the whole nation needs to listen to, understand, think, develop thinking capacities, and then act and carry forward. Utopia has been a reality in the sense because this is the creation of a human mind, and it is anything. And we have lived with these utopia, and at the same time, we have had on our sides science, technology, rationality, and sociology developed as a very excellent subject, which disillusioned people from many things. I believe we have to get to that pedestal. And when I look to the crusade of Professor Upendra Baxi, as I call it, when he was giving social angle to the Indian jurisprudence during 60s, 70s, and I joined late 70s, the legal studies. I believe that, many literate people otherwise, knowing the provision of law, they did not have the feel of the law. They did not touch the ground of the law. They did not look to its emergence, thought, influencing factors, objectives, purposes. And I know the write-up he had given to that ICSSR long back. I think that's an agenda for people, and people are looking for what should be the shape of legal education, what should be this, what should be that. I think from the point of view of development of thought, there has been a lot of poverty because of not paying attention to that promotion of thought. It's not merely the skill of communication and then preparing a very fine paper book to be presented to the judge. It's not like that, or presenting a memorandum before this ADR, this arbitration prison. It's not like that. I think from the point of view of thought, as I have seen, I think I would call it the best of the diseases I had throughout my life was that to get at least some feel of the understanding of the writings of Professor Baxi, how he was carrying forward. And that's really, if you will try to understand and touch that, you will find really a great crusader, which largely has remained unattended, and the things have not come to the ground. Then you can see the Bhopal gas tragedy. If somebody analyzes it, tries to understand the dimensions and what jurisprudence we followed and what we should have followed, I think it needs a lot from human rights angle, environment, society, then gender and other perspectives. And today, as always, science and technology, they always put a challenge before the law. But who will explain it? Somebody was saying we don't have law on this thing and that thing and that thing. I said when our legislature does not know what should be the law, he's waiting for it. For many things, I don't have time to tell them one by one. But I think there is somebody understands all that. Somebody explains all that. We have not to wait for other countries to come with a legislation for a problem, and then only we will have it and then we will imitate it. No, I believe that in the mind of Professor Baxi, I think there is a lot. We can be leaders. We can be at the forefront. We can be the front runners. But unfortunately, the great minds, they are not that way taken. And I always feel that when pain I'm saying. And then I would like to say that all these things, what you talk of fake news, this thing, that thing, dear friends, you asked the questions. I think that was too much clear from the main lecture. And we have to learn to be very attentive and then elaborate and explain. And to Professor Vandana, I should say that you are asking how many questions you will take. Then tell me, have you ever heard that when somebody went to drink water from a well and well asked him how much water you will drink? It's not possible. It's not possible. When there is an ocean, ocean cannot say that you ask me 10 questions. Ocean can say, okay, if you have the capacity, have the whole of it. And I believe that Professor Upendra Baxi is having that ocean of thought, ocean of understanding, ocean of being the true leader in any field, law, society, and other things, judiciary, judicial, that advancements, and bringing justice to the doorsteps, as we had some of the good visitors earlier during 80s, who wrote books on legal aid and so many other things. I believe that was only the blessing of Professor Baxi that we could get connected to that international level of academics. So I know that I have said a lot, but I have to restrict myself also. And that's how I would say that during those days when I had joined legal studies, there was the issue of assassination of Mr. Bhattu, then overtaking of Afghanistan by USSR, and then there followed so much of, you may call it geopolitics or whatever politics, and that influenced the different institutions of life as well. As many people gave the concepts of Nizam-e-Mustafa, something gives another thing, and somewhere came other kinds of things. I think there was somebody who could explain it to the world, that what are you doing? What are you offering? Ultimately, even one life is very important. And you are giving the systems and you are developing the institutions without getting to the actual realities, what orientations they should have. And I may also mention that we have now a very good crop of law universities. I believe they have to borrow a lot from Professor Baxi. I can say if the first university, he is not after it. I always say when he was being introduced as Vice Chancellor of this and that, I was feeling he has lost and wasted a lot of time, though we have got a little bit good also from that, his being Vice Chancellor and all that. I think the nation must understand that he should be known as the best brain, best jurist, and not as this thing and that thing. And we have to get to him. We have to get to his feet. We have to get to his mind. We have to get his thought. And if we fail in it, then definitely we are at loss. We can't be the leaders without Professor Upendra Baxi. We cannot advance. And that's how I would like to offer you thanks, Professor Baxi, from the University School of Law and Legal Studies. We have a very good dean, Professor A.P. Singh. I tell him you are A.P. Singh, Associate Professor Singh. But he is a good professor that way. And Professor Vanna Singh, Professor Zubair, and we are having so many others. We are grateful to you. But I think please give us time frequently. But I would say Professor A.P. Singh and Professor Vanna, please have documentation because, and then I think from this lecture, we can get 100 captions on which dissertations should be written by LLM students, and we should not waste time. Otherwise, they are coming with any of the topics and like that. I think it's an institutionalization of kind of thing. And I believe there should be some center. We should be at national level. Upendra Baxi Center of Legal Studies, Legal Research and Studies. That should be there. If it's not, he does not need it. I know he is against having Minar, as I had said earlier. And I also say I'm not praising him because he is in any way, for that, I know there is a noble soul in him. I have heard him saying things which are very noble, which are true to jurisprudence, which are true to the spirit of law. And that without any kind of, as he was talking of something about this puberty, option of puberty, a good idea from Islamic jurisprudence, there is an idea of khulus, ikhlas, purity of thought. Purity of thought is very important, which Allah, God is saying, you must have purity of thought. I have seen that purity of thought in you. So we are grateful to you. And then I'm grateful to these organizers also, and grateful to all those who joined with us, and with this hope that we really do something that, and I pray to God, let nation understand where is our August Comte, where is our Emile Durkheim, where is our Max Weber, and where are our Lord Dennings and others. I think you can find a lot of that in Professor Upendra Baxi, and we should find a good future for Indian jurisprudence in his writings. That's great about it. And sir, we are grateful to you. And really, I find this was a very wonderful day for University School of Law and Legal Studies and Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, when we are with knowledge. As I always say, it's not anything wealth. Nobody has said wealth is power. Knowledge is power. And you have opened the doors for knowledge. We were not understanding many things. You opened and you underlined many of the themes, and I hope that we work on them, and also the nation understands how we have to get ahead with mind, with thought, and we have to look for that. Only material sources are not important. Thought is more important. If there is a good thought, material resources are beneficially used. But if there is no thought, then they go a waste. That's how I would say. We are, sir, really grateful to you. Again and again, I would say that please remain associated with us, if not so frequently, but at least twice in a year. You have to be awaken us and allow us to promote our conscientiousness, understanding, and other things related our academics. So
let's work together. Let's work together on some areas, and always to back and call. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. Thank you, sir.
Sir, just before closing, I would be feeling my duty if I don't thanks all the person who helped me in organizing this webinar. First of all, thank you very much, sir, for accepting our invitation, and forgive me because of spamming your mailbox and chat box, from which I am doing from last 1 year, and forgive me for future also, because I'll be spamming your mailbox and I'll be asking for your more presence and time for USLLS. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us your time. And as Professor Vani told about the documentation, yesterday Professor Anuj Vaksha, he already discussed about the documentation and taking this for our technology law journal. So sir, I'll be disturbing you more for this particular aspect, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And again, thanks to our Dean, sir, Professor Amal Pal Singh. Whenever I go to him with my weird idea, sir patiently hear me and give shape to my all weird ideas. Thank you very much, sir, for all your support and for all the freedom you have given to all USLLS colleagues for organizing all kind of events. Thank you, sir. And special thanks to Zubair, who is a solid support to ADR cell and whatever we organize, sir. Thanks to Zubair Ahmed Khan, who is a co-coordinator for this webinar, and all this my senior faculty member, friend, colleague, Professor Anuj, Professor Shivani, Dr. Guruji, Dr. Neelu, Dr. Lisa, Anuradha, and all other faculty members who are present in this webinar, Dr. Shaktivel, who give us the technical support for all the webinar we organize, and last and but not the least, our most important, the student support. It goes to Mehak, Tisha, Divyanshi, Trivikram, Mansi. They all have worked very hard for successful conduct of this webinar. And I thank all the participants from all over India, which we can see that due to this pandemic, we are having an advantage that participants from all over India, they can join at one forum. This is another advantage of digital technology. So I thank all the participants for making this webinar successful. Thanks to all of them. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Baxi sir, for giving us your valuable time.
Thank you, indeed. And call me again. I won't take 2 years.
Certainly, sir.
Thank you.
In fact, we are calling you physically. We are just
give me eight weeks at least notice, and then I'm at your service.
certainly, sir. I'll note. Thank you.